And time now for our PIX panel. Joining me this week, PIX 11 political reporter Ayana, and from City and State New York, Jeff Coltin. So good morning to both of you. Thanks for being here.
Good morning.
Jeff, let's talk about this. You had a big article, your profile with Ingrid Lewis-Hamilton, the chief advisor to the mayor. We had her on the show because of your very article. So what do you think, were the biggest takeaways from your report? We heard from her just a little while ago on the show, but what did you take away from it?
Look, I think the mayor has to worry a little bit more about the politics and how he, looks to the public. It's important to have a chief advisor or, people in your world that can be a little more down and dirty. And I think that she will admit that openly. She's the one that is the fixer behind the scenes. And there's somebody like that in every office. And she happens to be the one for City Hall and for the mayor. There was that great quote. She said, I'm not Michelle Obama. When they go low, we go high. No, when they go low, she's drilling for oil. She's going down deep.
Yeah, that was a great quote. All right, I urge you to read Jeff's full report after you obviously just saw our interview. But let's talk about some of the key issues as well, because I touched upon it with Ingrid Lewis-Hamilton about this plan in place now to take the homeless and that are struggling with mental illness and put them in hospitals involuntarily. She addressed it a little bit, didn't get too much into the policy, but Ayana, let's talk about how this is actually going to be implemented, because that still remains unclear. I pressed the mayor last week on the morning news about what the criteria is, and it's still pretty vague. What are you hearing?
Well, first, Dan, we have to mention that several lawyers and advocates have filed a legal challenge against the mayor's new policy. They're arguing that it violates the Americans with Disabilities Act. So we have to watch that court battle play out to see if the mayor's new policy will even be able to be implemented. But Dan, as you did right here on the morning show last week, and as we've done inside of City Hall during several press conferences, we've continually pressed the mayor for those details on how specifically this will be implemented. There aren't a lot of details that have been shared yet. The mayor did say that training is underway, but how it will be implemented still hasn't been rolled out. We did ask the mayor if there will be some public accountability, some public sharing of the data. The mayor says the City Hall does want to be transparent, but they also have to recognize that there are medical issues here, so they want to respect people's privacy. So it's still a little bit muddy in terms of what this will actually look like.
Yeah, so the training's underway. We had MTA CEO on the show last week talking about training for his folks. Mayor was talking about training, but saying that the police are actually not leading the charge here like it's been reported. So who is leading the charge, Jeff? Who's tasked with this?
There's going to be some level of mental health professionals. I know that there's even kind of a discussion among the psychiatrists versus the psychologists versus who's going to be taking charge here. But of course, the story, as always, is we're waiting for more details. This was a big policy announcement. And then for the past week, the mayor's kind of been cleaning it up a little bit, being like, it's actually just a small clarification of an existing law.
Right. So was it premature? Was it a premature announcement? Because the press, and we're going to do our part. We're going to ask the questions, right? And Ayana, you've been at many press conferences this week asking the important questions for the details. Was it premature?
It certainly seemed like the mayor could have ironed out the nitty-gritty, the details before going on to City Hall. Dan, we've discussed it right here on PIX 11. There was a back and forth about whether or not the NYPD was even aware that this program was going to be announced before it was announced. So certainly the details. Also, another key detail is what role will private hospitals play in this? When a police officer picks someone up and takes them to the hospital, will they go to a public hospital, a private hospital? Who pays for all of it? Those details have not been hammered out as well, and so it certainly seems like City Hall could have, figured it out before telling the public exactly how they'll move forward.
All right, I know both of you are going to stay on top of that and continue to press for the answers. Let's talk about what else is happening. Lee Zeldin, we knew his name from the election season, says he will not run for RNC chair, basically calling Ronna McDaniel's re-election a foregone conclusion, right? But he did call for her to step down at some point. So I guess, what sort of role do you see him playing in Republican politics moving forward? Is there a role for him, Jeff?
I think the question with Republican politics is what role is Trump going to continue to play in this party? Zeldin was a big Trump supporter, but he was a little bit later to that campaign, going back to like 2016. And of course, he doesn't have the same sort of charisma that the former president did. So it'll be interesting to see, can a New York Republican like Lee Zeldin, somebody who did flip a lot of Democrats to vote for him this election, can he be a national figure, or is he really just a New York Republican guy? And I think it will really come down to who's going to be the Republican standard holder, whether that's going to be Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis or somebody else.
Ayana.
Yeah, I think Lee Zeldin proved that he can be valuable for Republicans nationally, right? He flipped Democratic voters in this deep blue seat. So I think at this point, it's really about what opportunities are available to Lee Zeldin and what role he may want to play. But it appears that Republicans nationally are certainly looking to him, turning to him more and more to see, hey, if he can get Democrats to vote for him in New York, we need to know how he did it so we can, spread that around the country.
Yeah, I mean, we just talked to Ari Kagan, the city council member who he was just on the show moments ago talking about Democratic Party flipping to Republican because of what he saw played out in this past election with the number of Democrats who may have voted Republican. A lot to talk about. We'll continue to stay on top of all of it. Ayana and Jeff, great job as always, and we'll see you next time, okay?